In recent years, there have been growing concerns about corruption in the Netherlands, a country that has long prided itself on its transparency, rule of law, and anti-corruption efforts. While the Netherlands still ranks relatively high in global corruption indexes, such as the Corruption Perceptions Index, some experts and activists warn that the country is not immune to various forms of corruption, ranging from petty bribery to large-scale embezzlement and influence peddling. One of the most high-profile corruption cases in recent years involves the Dutch Tax Authority, which has been accused of fraud, discrimination, and other abuses. In 2019, a whistleblower revealed that the tax authority had wrongly accused tens of thousands of families of child benefit fraud, resulting in many of them losing their benefits, facing fines, and even going bankrupt. The scandal sparked outrage and led to the resignation of several officials, including the tax minister, and the promise of compensation and reform. Another example of corruption in the Netherlands is the so-called construction mafia, a network of contractors, politicians, and civil servants who allegedly collude to rig public tenders, inflate prices, and evade taxes. The construction mafia has been linked to several high-profile projects, such as the new Amsterdam Metro line, which has faced delays, cost overruns, and safety issues. Critics argue that the construction mafia not only harms taxpayers and consumers but also undermines the quality of infrastructure and the integrity of public procurement. In addition to these cases, there are concerns about corruption in other sectors, such as healthcare, education, and politics. For instance, some doctors and pharmacists have been accused of overcharging patients, while some universities and schools have been criticized for offering diplomas and degrees to unqualified or undeserving students. There are also concerns about the influence of lobbyists, interest groups, and wealthy donors on political decision-making and campaign financing, especially in light of recent revelations about the role of foreign money in Dutch politics. On top of these existing concerns, a recent investigation has revealed serious allegations of corruption and abuse of power within the Dutch government's response to the COVID-19 pandemic. The investigation, based on thousands of pages of government correspondence released under the Dutch Freedom of Information Act, was conducted by 4 researchers, including investigative journalist Mark van der Veegt and data analyst Wouter Akema. They found evidence that Minister Hugo de Jonge of Health, Welfare and Sport broke rules and went to great lengths to present COVID-19 figures as alarmingly as possible, manipulating the COVID-19 dashboard to report only the number of positive cases, without the total number of tests conducted, thus distorting the actual situation in the country. The National Coordinator for Counterterrorism and Security, NCTV, a key player in the government's COVID-19 policy, was also reportedly involved in framing messages and using imagery to generate more public support for the government's actions. Additionally, the Ministry of Defense allegedly established a special unit, the Land Information Maneuver Center, LIMC, in December 2019 to surveil and discredit citizens critical of the government's policies, which exceeded its legal authority. These allegations of corruption and abuse of power have caused concern among many in the Netherlands, who worry that their government's actions during the COVID-19 pandemic were motivated more by politics than by public health. Despite the solid evidence provided by the investigation, the mainstream media has paid little attention to these findings. This lack of transparency and accountability only further underscores the need for continued efforts to fight corruption and promote transparency and accountability in the Netherlands. Some civil society organizations, journalists, and politicians have called for stronger laws, better enforcement, and more public scrutiny of government and corporate practices. Some companies and institutions have also taken steps to improve their anti-corruption policies and culture, such as by implementing whistleblowing systems. Apart from the instances of corruption mentioned earlier, the Dutch government has also been grappling with allegations of corruption within its internal institutions, such as the Openbaar Ministry, Public Prosecution Service, and the Ministry of Justice and Security. In 2019, a high-profile scandal emerged in which the Public Prosecution Service was accused of withholding and manipulating evidence in a major criminal case involving a motorbike gang. The allegations raised serious concerns about the integrity and impartiality of the Dutch justice system, which has long been considered a pillar of the country's democracy. Moreover, there have been concerns about the role of the Dutch second chamber quality in enabling corruption and suppressing transparency. Critics argue that the coalition, which is composed of various political parties that govern the country, often makes decisions behind closed doors and without adequate public scrutiny, which makes it difficult for citizens to hold the government accountable for its actions. Furthermore, recent reports have suggested that corruption may be more pervasive in the Netherlands than previously thought. A 2020 report by Transparency International, a global anti-corruption watchdog, ranked the Netherlands 8th on its Corruption Perceptions Index, but noted that the country's score had declined slightly compared to the previous year, indicating a deterioration in perceptions of corruption. In light of these developments, there have been calls for stronger measures to combat corruption and promote transparency and accountability in the Netherlands. Some activists and experts have called for greater public oversight of government institutions and policies, as well as more robust legal and regulatory frameworks to prevent and punish corruption. Mark Rutte is the current Prime Minister of the Netherlands. He has been the center of several controversies throughout his political career. Many people are critical of his policies and actions, which they believe have not been in the best interest of the Dutch people. One of the most recent controversies involving Rutte is his decision to exclude unvaccinated people from society, which many people believe is a violation of international human rights. Rutte has been accused of discriminating against unvaccinated people and not respecting their autonomy. However, this is not the only issue that has caused criticism for Rutte. His government has faced criticism for cuts to the healthcare system, leading to problems in the provision of healthcare services in the country. Additionally, his government's handling of the stikstof crisis, or nitrogen crisis, has been widely criticized. Rutte has also been criticized for his approach to migration policy, with some accusing him of failing to address the root causes of migration and lack of focus on measures to deter migration. The MH17 tragedy, in which a Malaysian Airlines flight was shot down over Ukraine, is another issue that has been heavily criticized. Many people believe that Rutte's government has not done enough to hold those responsible accountable. The Toeslagen affair, or childcare allowance scandal, is another issue that has been heavily criticized. The scandal involved thousands of parents being wrongly accused of fraud and being forced to pay back thousands of euros in childcare benefits, leading to financial ruin for many families. The Rutte Doctrine, which involves the suppression of information by government officials, has also been a source of controversy. This doctrine has been criticized for preventing transparency and accountability in government. Other issues that have been associated with Rutte's government include the dividend tax, the Rolodex case, the JOVD pedophile network scandal, the handling of the defense ministry under Bijleveld, the Hawija airstrike, the influence of lobbying organizations on policy decisions, the response to the COVID-19 pandemic, corruption in fundraising, the gas extraction crisis in Groningen, the involvement of the Landsadvocaat Pels Richkin in scandals, and accusations of satanic ritual abuse. Despite these controversies, Rutte was able to maintain a long-term hold on power. However, in recent times, his popularity has declined significantly, with the BBB party winning big in the province elections. Many people believe that Rutte is corrupt and only serves the interests of foreign organizations, such as the World Economic Forum. His involvement in the war in Ukraine has also been criticized, with many Dutch people against his violent actions and involvement in the conflict. In conclusion, Mark Rutte has been the center of several controversies throughout his political career, with many people critical of his policies and actions. Despite his declining popularity, he continues to hold a position of power in the Dutch government. In recent years, there also have been concerns about corruption and election fraud in the Netherlands. However, with the help of vigilant citizens and independent investigations, these issues are being brought to light. There is a group named www.controleverkiezingen.nl that checked the elections in 2023, and directly another party won the provincial elections. That is already a concerning fact. Another notable example is the Mueller investigation in the United States, which exposed attempts by foreign actors to interfere in the 2016 presidential election. This investigation sparked a renewed sense of urgency in protecting the integrity of democratic processes, not only in the U.S. but around the world. Also because the Netherlands is strongly connected with the USA. In the USA, but also in the Netherlands, there have been allegations of ballot harvesting and voter fraud, as well as concerns about the influence of foreign organizations on Dutch politics. But by staying informed and taking action to hold our leaders accountable by arresting them for their crimes like Mark Rutte did, we can work towards a more transparent and fair political system. It's up to all of us to protect our rights and values as a society, and that includes ensuring that our democratic processes are free from corruption and fraud. we can create a stronger and more representative democracy for all.